Today, at the head of the table, we're speaking with Tej, a seasoned building operator manager at Westbank and a respected member of the board of directors at TBMOA. With years of experience in property management and development, Tej has been a key player in some of the city's most iconic projects, including Mirvish Village. His deep knowledge of both the historical and operational aspects of a large-scale development makes him a perfect person to talk about the intersection of history, modern development, and day-to-day building operations. Let's dive into his insights. Hi, Tej. Thank you very much for coming. How are you?
Hey, Carter. I'm well. Thanks for having me on here and giving me the opportunity to be at the head of the table.
Of course. Thank you for coming. I have a couple questions I want to jump into with you. Firstly, you were part of the development team for Mirvish Village and know the site's backstory very well. Why was it important to keep the Mirvish name tied to the new Westbank development, and how did the team work with that historical context during planning?
I would say the most important part of keeping the Mirvish name was community. Honesteds and the Mirvish family had been the cornerstone of that intersection for decades. For so many Canadians and Torontonians for generations was part of their story, the story of Toronto. New Canadians and new Torontonians, and again, for many generations, people, uncles and aunts in my family had stories of going to Honesteds and getting their first suit, when they first arrived to Canada or going to that job interview. And with the huge holiday events that Ed Mirvish would put on, the long history of that intersection, Bathurst and Bloor being a part of the original city of Toronto, we wanted to make sure that the community felt incorporated and involved in the successful project we were going to do.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the Mirvish name spreads the entire city. The community is definitely a focal point there.
When I got involved in the project, Honesteds was just closing. They were selling off a lot of the memorabilia, was being bought up at auction. It was all over the papers, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of it. And the community was so attached to the stories that happened at Bathurst and Bloor and at Honesteds, the memories. And so we did a great community event called Come In and Get Lost One More Time, as a throwback to the sign on the side of Honesteds saying, "Come in and get lost." And it's just had to be involve the community to be a success. Another thing that we've incorporated is a lot of the heritage brickwork and the heritage facades of that old Toronto look. And our architects have incorporated that into the modern facades that will be part of this very large and city-changing project. The architects, when you see the different segments of the building envelope in the different colors and finishes, is meant to break it up so that it does look like individual addresses rather than one quite large complex, of course. And I love the fact that we have Markham Street open with parks and keeping a lot of the heritage homes to keep that character so that the community feels the connection with the past and the story of the city.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think the brickwork and the architecture is something that's really coming up nowadays. People are realizing the historical value of old Toronto, and they want to keep that instead of just keeping with the modernized buildings. And I think this building is a perfect showcase of it.
Thank you. Thank you, for sure.
Mirvish Village is a large and complex development. What does a typical day in your life look like as a project manager?
My day starts easily at 7:30 in the morning. Usually I'll look at the security reports, patrol reports. I'll look at incoming work orders, get a feel for what happened overnight in the morning, check in on the elevators, check in with the patrol guards, check in with the tenant requests, walk the perimeter, check out the site conditions, and then prep for our morning briefing. As a team, we'll all do a morning briefing where the different departments come together and we bring what our department has in store for the day, and we share with the other departments if there's anything that they can help us with or we can help them with. We make use of a lot of work order software where we receive tenant requests from their email logins, their tenant portals. We receive it, and then we update through the work through technology and close work orders. Then we generate reports. Also, we'll check with technology the building automation systems, which we have wonderful sensors, graphical user interfaces, where we can see from a centralized screen what all the temperatures are at throughout the complex, if all the pumps are running. Not that that is going to replace the physical rounds. Those are also so key. We still have to go look at the physical gauges and the physical readings. So that's also at the beginning of the shift, is to know where everything lies. Throughout the day, then I usually progress into the preventative maintenance, where we could have service providers and our service partners, who's on site for the day, what access do we need to provide, which equipment are we working on. And now, as you mentioned, with Mirvish Village being such an exciting project, and at this current stage is phased occupancy, which is something I really love about the project. So it's also commissioning new equipment, and the construction team is constantly handing over new equipment and new phases of occupancy. We're welcoming new tenants in daily. So pre-inspections of apartments before people move in. We also have 53 commercial retail units, as well as our 891 apartments. So we have anchor tenants such as Niagara College, the LCBO, Bank of Montreal, Stretch Lab, Pizza Battiali, Book Bar, Bone and Biscuit, Bestco, which we could be a mix between facilitating the tenant fit out, or like the LCBO, who's fully operational in the middle of this construction site. So a lot of tenant relations, and then midday is the people part of the job, I like to call it. Then towards the end of the day, closing the work orders, circling back with the team, hand over to the afternoon shift, and make a plan for the next day, rinse and repeat.
Never ends, that's it. Yeah, thank you very much. I have one last question.
Sure.
As a board member of TBMOA, how does that experience influence your day-to-day work with Westbank? Are there ways your involvement in the association helps shape how you manage operations on site?
Absolutely. My experience at TBMOA for sure helps me in my day-to-day work. I'm always getting educational training through TBMOA, Toronto Building Managers and Operators Association. Once a month we meet, and there'll be an educational seminar where we can discuss sustainability, we can discuss extreme weather, we can get training on updated municipal codes. It's a central area where building operators and managers can get together and talk about the challenges and the triumphs that we face in our day-to-day jobs. And one thing that was so refreshing to me about TBMOA, and I'll meet with my colleagues in the field and neutrally discuss, not as competitors, but collaborators as building operators, and bringing light to our designation as a building operator and what that means as a career path for us as staff for the companies that we work for, and learning that, oh wow, you have the same challenge, that happened to you, this is how you solved it, this is the partner who helped you solve it, and it's sharing information. That kind of conversation, that kind of dialogue with our colleagues in the field gives us the tools where we need. Nobody knows everything. There's a lot of pressure for building operators and managers to know everything. We can't know everything. And also, one thing that TBMOA really taught me, there is a shortage of building operators and managers in the city of Toronto. So it taught me to value all the stars on my team, to know how lucky I am to have them, knowing that there are a lot of buildings out there looking for skilled building operators right now.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing, Tej. Thank you for coming once again. I think the insights that you provided us with are amazing and will help a lot of people. If you are a building operator, apply now to TBMOA.
Thank you, Carter.
Thank you.
It's
Have a
been
great
great
one.
to be here with you.